and welcome back to 21 and Counting. Yes, today is 21 and Counting, and I am so excited. Today with me in the studio is my husband, Kingsley Bature, and soon enough we'll introduce our special guest. But for now, let's talk about 21 and Counting. Some of you are wondering, is it not common sense for relationships? Well,
Wait. The way you are just rushing through this thing as if you are speeding to go somewhere. Be calming down. So it is 21 and counting. Before you rush up, the people that are online, first welcome them first now. See, where are you going? Be calming down here. So you are accelerator, me I'm handbrake.
Yeah, you
Let's
do
go.
the welcome now.
No, I can't do the welcome 21 and counting now. They always say it's ladies first. Ladies first, yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so everyone, you are welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. To those of you who are already online, fantastic. Thank you for coming online early. And to those who will come later on, those who will even watch this show after it's after the live, right? Yes. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us and be a part of this. So you can still leave comments after the show, and if you have questions or anything, please feel free to leave a comment for us.
Yeah, I can see you, Queen Debbie. I can see you, Omorenze. And Omorenze says, Mommy is rushing. Please tell her, don't rush me. You should not rush me. She should be calming down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, so yes, we have a special couple with us today. And like I was trying to tell you before, I was nicely interrupted. Nicely.
I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing. Yes.
Yes, before I was nicely interrupted.
You're about to tell them what
my
21.
darling sweetheart
You're about to
husband.
tell them what
Wait
21
now,
and counting
yes,
was.
21 and Counting is the show where we bring you people who have done this marriage thing for 21 years or more. Because there's a way you say something and it's like, are you sure this thing really works? But when you see veterans, people who have been
Legends.
there, yes, done that, are still doing it and are happy, you have to say, Uncle, Auntie, please come and sit down and tell us how you are doing it. So we can learn, so we can say, oh, so I'm going to make that adjustment. So please, have your writing materials ready.
I have my own already.
Your phones, your diary, whatever it is that you use to take down information you do not want to forget. Please have it ready. And please pay attention, because they're not going to do it like class that they'll say, number one, make sure you respect your so and so. Number two, make sure the food is sweet. No. It's not, that's not how it's going to come. It's going to come through the conversation. So you have to be listening, and then that was a point there, take note. That was a point there, take note. We will also try to highlight some of those as we go through. So stay tuned, and like we always say, invite your friends.
Share the link. Share the link.
Yes.
Then they cost money. It's free. They have not started charging for sharing yet. So since they are not charging for sharing, just share the link.
Yes.
Share it to your friend. Share it to your enemy. You never can tell. Maybe it may be what will make your enemy now become your friend. We don't know.
Maybe the enemy will.
The enemy may be going through something
change.
that is making him enemious to you. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah, and then eventually the enemy will become a friend. So we'll see how this goes. All right. So on the show today, we have a very special couple, like I told you before. And they have been married for over 21 years. I'll leave them to tell you the exact number of years when we get to that point.
Baby, we still need to put that mic very close to you so that, yes, because they need to hear this introduction that you want to do. Do you understand? They need to hear it well, because the people are not children in this thing.
Okay, so
their marriage has reached to marry.
Their marriage has, at this point, should have finished like secondary school, way since universities.
It has finished university now. It has finished university. You can graduate. Yes, now.
Yes.
How old are children graduating now? Their marriage has reached the place where you can now say, bro, I know what I'm looking for.
Or the marriage is ready to marry.
The marriage is ready to marry. Unlike our own marriage that is still teenagers. We are still, going ahead. So there's a very serious.
Okay, all right. So this is going to be interesting. Okay, so I will introduce this transgenerational couple. I say transgenerational because they cut across. It's not only their peers that they are flowing with. Even younger people, much younger people, are able to interact with them and learn from them. They pack a punch when it comes to wisdom and insights, when it comes to experience that will help you make your own life easier. So please join me as we welcome to 21 and counting, the Akinpelus. So, yes. So please go ahead and send the joy and the love and the emojis on the group. I want to feel your excitement.
Please, welcome them very royally
and very warmly. So send those emojis in and let's get into this. Okay, so you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Nice to be here. This couple have got us in stitches tonight.
It's going to be interesting. Okay, so
Thank you.
Mr. Kayode Akinpelu and Mrs. Ojolakwe Akinpelu. I hope I'm pronouncing this name well, even though I'm not a Yoruba person.
Perfect.
well let them tell you.
It's on point.
Ojolakwe, yes.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so I'll ask first of all, I have to say welcome. We're really happy that you're here.
Thank you for
It's a
having us.
pleasure.
And would like to say that we admire your marriage and the life that you are portraying to the rest of us. And that is why we thought it right to have you on 21 and counting, so that we can draw some of those insights, right? We can learn some of those lessons from you, and others can learn along with us. So we have a lot of people from across the globe who join us, different countries, and we have a lot of really young people who aren't yet married, but they are part of this, and this is an opportunity for them to look in, like see the future. What does it look like? What will it be like for me? Because some people are like, I'm not really sure about this marriage thing. It sounds too stressful. Is there anything to gain from it, and so on? Some people feel too many divorces. Is it even worth the trouble? So this is going to be an opportunity for all of us to have a view into your home, into your marriage, into your challenges, into your victories, into the success stories and all of that. And even to start with, to see how this all began. Yes. How it started from the beginning. We want to know. Okay, so I'll start by asking my first question. How did your journey begin?
How did your journey
Were you
begin?
in primary school together? Did somebody?
Far from it.
Okay.
You want to have a go? You
Yeah.
want to start the story?
Yes, it's a most unconventional one. Very interesting. Have you seen You Got Mail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're aging ourselves now. We're dating ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what happened was that he was in England. I was in Nigeria,
Yeah.
working for a law firm, in Lagos. And we happened to have a mutual friend.
Interesting.
Yes, doing. And she was trying to reach her parents in Nigeria. She was trying to pass some message across. I can't even remember now. And it was those days when email wasn't like popular like we have it now. So she contacted Kayode and said, please pass this message on to me and pass it on to her parents in Nigeria. To pass it on to her parents in Nigeria. And that's how it started. He sent the message. Yeah, like, oh, this is for Tony's parents and everything. Please pass it. And I passed the message across. And that's how it really started, honestly. We started conversing. And yes, email. Over email. We had never met each other.
Interesting.
We started conversing.
So that's what they will call social media love these days. Because that was the nearest thing to social media.
Yes, and it's very interesting because it was a kind of thing where, it wasn't like, oh, you have your phone and you are talking to him. So I'd have to go to the workstation and get one of the secretaries to send a message across to him.
Really?
And, that kind of thing, yeah. So at a point, he now sent a message to me. He was traveling. He was working for, I think, Yahoo?
Yahoo.
Yahoo then in England. So he wanted to travel to America. And he sent a message to me that, oh, if you're trying to reach out to me and I'm not responding, please know that it's because I'm actually traveling. And I thought, oh, how considerate, how, how thoughtful, that kind of a thing. And that just made me think about him a bit. This is an interesting person, and more like a gentleman, but I'd not started thinking in those lines at all.
Yeah.
But it just gave me that, that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is an interesting person, quite considerate, quite thoughtful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you say that, because part of what the concern is these days is it seems that thing of being able to read somebody's personality, someone's character, from some subtle things they do.
Yes.
For instance, in this case, leaving you a message for you to know I won't be available for this period because of this.
Yes. Yes.
As simple as that. You were able to read something about him.
That's right.
From it.
Yeah.
But these days it's like, hey, it's becoming a lost art. Like, people are missing the opportunity to find out about people from these unintentional expressions.
Yes. Yes.
So it's cool to see that you were able to read that just from, okay,
Yes.
this is something about this guy. He didn't have to come and say, hey, I am considerate, I am a thoughtful person. No, he did something and you read that. So
yes.
singles out there,
Yes.
pay attention. Don't miss opportunities to find out about the person you are considering as a life partner. Yes.
Yes.
So pay
Yeah.
attention.
Yes, and it came across as a gentleman. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great.
So, Pastor Kayode, sorry, it's force of habit. I have to call you Pastor Kayode.
Coach.
I would like to hear your own side.
Well, just as she said, I mean, she's laid the foundation to the story. So it just started off conversational, and then it became a continuous conversation. So I could come to the end of the week and just shoot her a mail, how was your week? And from there, I noticed she was quite articulate. She was very, organized. And I could see her priorities, because in the course of the week, in our, business, she would probably send a scripture, or she was probably send a devotional.
Yeah.
And I saw that she was consistent with that. So that I could see that from the very beginning, that meant a lot to her. She was somebody of faith that didn't just, speak about her faith, but was practical about it. So in our conversations, the conversation started getting deeper, and, it was just interesting to see how. So it started, how a caterpillar will morph into a butterfly. It was those kind of conversations that were just very peripheral at the beginning, but they started to get a bit more deeper. And the more I got to know her, then, the excitement started to come in, like, okay, this is somebody that I'm conversing with.
And you started looking forward to the debrief, right?
Exactly. And she would go to court. She was a lawyer then, doing litigation and all that. So every now and then she'll probably just, talk about the journey to court, and not much share the facts of the case, but, just general conversations around, what she was doing at the time. And I found it all quite interesting, quite intriguing. And as you said, you start to see a picture of a person emerge. And even before you see them, because we hadn't even seen each other at that point.
No.
It was just more like from the conversations, from the interactions, from how she articulated herself, how she put her points across. I just started to get aroused in terms of, okay, this is somebody who could challenge me intellectually, could challenge me religious, my faith. She could relate on every level.
Yeah, Pastor Guy, what you're saying now, I can just see somewhere in your mind there was what I would like in the person that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. Not necessarily like laid out on a tablet, but you could check. You could say yes, that, yes, this, and then with that, okay, I think I'm headed in the right direction. That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask the next one now. How did you know that she's the one? And how did you know that he's the one?
Okay. I mean, just to do a ride on the last point you've made, I mean, the conversation started to get deeper, and the interaction started becoming more frequent. And, like you said, when you want to get married, there's the natural tendency to always look for the physical features.
Yeah.
But beyond the physical features are the real deeper attributes that are really key. And that's kindness, thoughtfulness, godliness, and all that came through even before I saw her physically. So in terms of the interest and the awareness, it had already even started at that point, even without me meeting her in person. And I think just to humor you, I think God even probably did it on purpose that way, because if she had a spec list, I'm pretty sure
You won't qualify.
I won't. So I think God just hit me in a way that that conversation became more intense and more. We just began to really. I think it started from being friends and liking each other.
Yeah.
And then seeing that okay, I can relate. This person's very relatable, and you're not ticking boxes in your head, but it's like a glove. It's like putting a glove on. You glide your hand through it, and at some point,
feels right.
as it's moving further down your hand, you put it on. Then you realize that, wait a minute, this is like a perfect fit, and it's a gradual process of as you're sliding the glove onto your hands, and it progressed like that to some extent.
Interesting.
So I want to own in on the point that we had not seen each other, so we were just conversing, and character was coming out of that.
How did you pick that? Out of, was it mail or Yahoo chat room? Which one was?
What was it then? It was Yahoo.
Yahoo.
Until I had a phone bill that ran into about 800
Yeah, and I
pounds.
remember I was in Kano for a case in Kano. I was in a hotel then, and he called and we were on the phone for close to an hour.
Wow.
I was when BT was still charging £1 per minute.
What? Yes.
So the phone bill came and it was.
So we had not met for months, and for me, I just appreciated having that friend. It was more like a friend.
Yes.
And then with time, like you said, we started getting, a bit closer in spite of, despite the fact that we're not seeing each other. I think we got to see eventually, I think around Christmas time.
Yeah, you came over.
Was it up to a year from the time you started the
Was it up to a
conversation?
year?
No, I think it was about.
I always wanted a short courtship anyway, regardless. I was like, whoever I'm going to marry, I pray is going to be a short courtship. And I remember he proposed in August, and we got married in December.
Wow.
Yes, and for me, it was choosing between 3 people at that time.
Interesting.
Yes.
The other two, were they also online, or were they also via email, or were they present? You could see them.
In fact, the odds were really against it because there was one that was, even in practice with me, and it was in Nigeria.
Wow.
Yes. And it was a suitor. And there was another person that was, in the UK, but I think he came to Nigeria once or twice. But for him, I only saw him once after talking to him for months. So how did I know? For me, I was very sincere. Because
Sincerity.
I was very sincere. I was very sincere with God. When we met, I was like, okay. I've really gone to like this. I've really come to like this person. Really, really like this person. Okay, I'm from a family of 6-footers. It's not that tall. It's not this. It's not that. But his heart. He has a good heart. He knows God and all that. And so I remember at a point I actually told him not to communicate with me. That I really wanted to.
For a week.
Was it a week? Yeah.
Wow.
I said I really wanted to pray, because it wasn't just about him.
Did you notice he still remembers the time?
Exactly a whole week.
I'm sure you were counting that 7 days.
Every second seemed like a year.
Yeah. And because, there were a lot of things to consider. I was practicing here in Nigeria. I liked the idea that I just had a strong belief that God had something for me in Nigeria. So thinking about going to meet somebody and living abroad wasn't too fancy for me, But it wasn't so much as what was fancy. I know that God works in mysterious ways, and it's all about his purpose. So I went to God sincerely, and I prayed and fasted and said, God, please choose for me, honestly. And that was at that point when I told him, not to contact me, that I really needed to be
to go into isolation.
Focused. Yes. And it was at that time that I really got the peace regarding him.
So it was peace.
Yes, it was peace.
Wow.
Regarding him. And then I said, well, God, if you're taking me out of this country, I'm in your hands.
Wow, that's so beautiful.
But the irony, just to add to what she said there, was that in as much as she had a desire to stay in the country, God paired her up with somebody who also had a desire to come back home.
Mm.
So it didn't happen immediately, but in the whole context of time, God had already
Yes.
made provision for that
Yes, that's
desire
right.
she had, which
Interesting.
played out in the course of time. So here we are back in Nigeria now, and
Yes.
that's
Yes.
this is her,
Yes.
her familiar,
Wow.
natural
Yeah.
habitat. We call it that.
Exact natural habit. Exactly. I think we should take one or two comments before we continue.
Okay, so the comments there have just been about
Hellos and highs.
yeah, hellos and highs, and I think someone said the sound is low, but another person said no, the sound is great, the sound
Okay.
is great, and we said we wanted to be sure. So they are listening and they are hearing. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Thank you everybody for staying tuned and for listening in. So remember, if you have it, I have my questions for them, right? But if you have your questions, feel free to type them in the chat and we will bring those up, okay? All right. So the next, I think I'm enjoying this story, especially because part of the should I say the issue that people are struggling with today is this whole issue of, is it okay to meet somebody, like, we call it social media love, we call it online love, we call it different things, but basically the concept is starting a relationship with someone you have never met face to face, is that some people actually ask, is it right? Is it wrong? Or will it work? Or, but here we are. Back then it was email. Now
Yes.
it is maybe Google chat, or it is Facebook, or it is IG, Now they say, I'm sliding into your DM.
Yes.
And stuff like that. So we can see that at that time, what seemed like social media love,
Yeah.
it's still working now. This is 23
Yeah.
years and counting, right? So, yes, if you met someone online, you met someone on IG, the place where you meet is not the problem. It is what you commit to developing that relationship and getting to know the person well enough to be able to decide that, yes, this is the one for me.
So to piggyback on that, Fred is asking, I noticed they started communication via emails online. So are we saying it doesn't matter how you meet your partner, but how genuine and intentional the two of you are? If so, why do people feel awkward when you say you met a partner online or on social media?
So, Fred, what you have said is on point. I like the way you summarized it. The being genuine, the being sincere, and you heard that from the story. Now about people feeling awkward. Remember that people will feel different things about different things. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, right? The important thing is you as a person. What is your thought about, how do you feel about this person you have met? It's like, I want to buy something of value. I thought that I would find it in the market, but I happened to run into someone on my way to the market, and the person had the real thing I was looking for. In fact, I could verify with warranty and all. If I buy it from that person, does it make the product invalid because I didn't buy it from the particular shop in the market? So you see that in life you have different platforms to meet and interact with people.
Yeah. Can I just make a point to Fred's point there? Just to say, hope I'm clear enough.
Yeah.
So I wasn't surfing the internet looking for a wife. I think that's something to note. I think when you pray and then you're consciously and actively waiting on God for something, when God now decides to look at your situation, right, who do I want to pair with this person? I think by the time God had already pre-configured that these two will meet. However, we were at different parts of the world. So he found a communication channel that he could open up that would help us communicate with each other. I guess if we were both in Nigeria, I doubt we would have met that way. I doubt,
Probably would
the
have gone for a wedding
circumstances.
together.
Exactly. I doubt the
Attend the same
circumstances
church.
So I think the circumstances were so unique in the sense that God just found a way to build a bridge
Yes,
between the two
connect,
of us.
yes.
Eventually we met in person. because at some point the courts were on recess and she came over. Then we now found an opportunity to write, to say, okay, this is who you are, and I can now see you in the flesh, and you know the conversation continuing.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to just point out that bit, that it wasn't so much as using the internet to surf and look for a wife. God might use that as a channel, but whatever works for you, however God wants to pair you. Rebecca just went to go and fetch water.
Yeah.
It was a random day of
exactly.
just doing her chores, but a man was sitting at the well, who became the instigator of how she met her husband.
Exactly.
And that was just it.
Yeah.
Now, I won't say going to the well. You keep going to the well, and you know,
Keep going to
as
the
a means
well.
to
Yeah.
find your husband.
Yeah.
But you see, the thing with this generation is that this generation are always at the well. Do you understand? So they basically they're what you call digital nomads. They basically live on the internet highways, the social media highways. So they are always at the well.
Yeah.
So it now becomes a case of the being at the well now. What are you looking for? Are you there to draw water? Or are you there to chat with the people that are coming to draw water? Or are you there to, do you understand? What are you doing by the well?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what if the well is, maybe you are selling water self at the well, it's okay. But the important thing is, what are you doing at the well? And when you are there, how do you decipher, or how do you distill between what is what the different functions, what is social, what is economic? Am I at the well for economic value? Am I at the well for social value? Am I at the well for spiritual value? Because Jesus did all of those, you know, while he was at the well. He met all the needs of that woman, both economic, social, spiritual, while he was at the well. So, Fred, what I was going to draw from Fred's question, maybe I will ask you, Ma, is you guys met online. That online, how could you tell? How could you, as in, you've told us how you could tell. What I'm trying to say is, how could you tell his character from conversation? How could you tell? I don't know if you are hearing, if I'm making, how could you tell his personality from conversation? Because a lot of young people these days say, how you can never really know somebody. People are always faking and people are always hiding. You know, how could you tell? You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a point of correction. We actually met for the first time when you came to Nigeria in
Okay.
December.
Okay, that's
yes,
true. I
you
came
remember
over for
around that
Christmas.
Christmas, yes.
Yeah, then
and
you
then
came over for
the year
when the
after I
courts
came
were
for my.
recessed.
It's interesting that this
I
is
guess
20-something years and they can remember.
Yes, so I'll just backtrack a bit. And particularly for the singles, it's important I say this because I had gotten into a stage in my life where I really consecrated myself unto the Lord and I was really focused on serving God. And this was on the back of a relationship that had failed in the past. I had entered university as a girl that, you know, focused on God, was into music and all that. All my friends had boyfriends.
You were into music.
Oh yes, I was. Yes, all my friends had boyfriends, and I was like, and my dad, I had a father that I said, you know what? Be focused. They'll tell you they're born again. They're not born anything. And, you know, he kept ringing that in my ear. So I was that kind of a person. I was really, I don't want boyfriend. I don't want this. I know what I want. I started a group called Changes, a musical group, and all that. And so it was like whoever I'm going to date is the person I'm going to marry, and all that. So that was the kind of mindset this girl had, you know. So I think about my final year, or semi-final year, I can't tell now. I met somebody, and you know, right spec, everything, church goer, you know, candlelit dinner in university, somebody,
Wow.
all that. But guess what? It didn't work, and that was something that affected me really badly because I was that kind of person that the first one
First time right.
Yes, first time right. I come from a Christian home. I've been taught the right thing, the things to look out for. I'm going to get it right. And I didn't get it right. But I had to eventually say no. And I said no at a point when he said, I'm going to get you a ring. And immediately I looked at the future and I did not see a kingdom marriage. I did not see a God-centered home. And immediately I said to him, don't worry, don't get me a ring. And he told me that at that point I knew you could never marry me.
Wow.
Yes. So yes. So
Wow.
from that point, I said to myself, look, God, I need to serve you. I need to get this right. And I started, serving God. I worked in the church. I was in the choir. I was really, really focused. I had people come then, oh, yeah, I'm like, yeah, the will of God for me, this and that, all sorts, yeah. And my mom was there. My closest friends, two of my closest friends, got married at the age of 24. I got married at 29. So you can imagine the pressure
yeah.
and all that. But I was just like, no, God, the right person will come at the right time. And even this person that I'm talking about that I dated, at that point, even tried to come back.
Wow.
In fact,
How did you deal with the pressure? Was it prayer that helped you, or did you have a community? What was it?
no,
But let me not take you away
I
from
don't
your
know.
story. Just go on.
Of course, I was focused. I was praying. My mother was praying. I lost my dad along the way, but I come from a Christian home,
Okay.
So my mom was always praying and all that. To the point, and I think it's important I say this, when I was practicing, one of his friends came to the office one day and said to me, the God that you serve is God.
Wow.
Seriously. Like you don't know what God has done for you. I won't go
That's
into I
that
won't-
guy's
yeah.
friend.
Yes, I won't go into the details,
Yeah.
but for you to know. So on the back of all that, what kind of girl would I have been then? I was just like, God, I can't make a mistake. I need you here. I know the implication of marrying the wrong person. This is all, it's not just about you and that person, it's about you as well, God. Your agenda, kingdom agenda, kingdom purposes. And the reason why I did not marry that person is because the reason why I did not say yes is because I could not see it. In spite of all the right
Niceness
spec,
and everything being
it was beyond that. God opened my eyes to see it. Yeah.
Wow.
So the question about how did I know? Eventually, at the age of 29, I had 3 suitors, 3 born-again suitors. So it was like,
Which one?
which one?
Which way, Nigeria?
Which one? And like I said to you, I had a praying. She's passed on now, praying mother. And she was like, we were praying. I was praying, and at a point I said, God, and I was sincere. I keep saying that. I don't even want to consider his height. I don't want to consider anything. I don't want to consider whether he's here or in. I just want your will for my life. And that's the truth. And eventually, I had a peace concern in Coyote.
Interesting.
And I went with
It's
him.
interesting you talk about sincerity in different aspects. First, sincerity in your relating with him, in how you communicated with him,
Yes.
in the information you were sharing with him.
Yes.
And then now you're talking about sincerity, even in your engaging God to say,
Yes.
I want to get this right, help me, know?
Yes. Yes.
It's beautiful. So sincerity, everyone take note, is something important. And even when you're talking about online relationships, remote relationships, long distance relationships, and so on, one of the things that is really important is sincerity. So you don't invest the time painting a picture of yourself that you are not. And then when the person finally finds you or meets you, they're like, you know what, I can't do this. You lied to me, you this, you that. And then that's the end of the relationship and you end up being heartbroken. So for the purpose of not being jilted or not being kicked out because someone reads you as being false, right, or deceptive, and for the purpose of just generally doing what is right, please be sincere in your relationships. Okay, so thank you so much for sharing. I'll go to the next question now, which is, what was one of the major challenges you had in your marriage, and how did you resolve it? So, sometimes people think it's only when you don't have issues, that's when you stay together. If you have real issues, then at some point you may have to walk away. So the question, this is really to tease out, have there been real serious challenges in your marriage? And if there have been, how did you deal with, you can pick any one that you feel, hey, was really crucial.
Alphabetically or chronologically?
We need there are many.
I'll leave you to answer that.
Okay.
Or to start off.
I think just laying some sort of foundation to the question, I think it's important to note that there is no perfect marriage. Marriage is like a garden. And, just like Adam, God created Adam, and his first assignment was to tend to the garden. And when you have a garden, you can plant the most beautiful flowers. You can manicure the grass. But if you leave that garden unattended, at some point it will start to grow weeds. And the weeds are not your planting. They're not a function of what you've done, but they're a function of what you're not doing, because you have to continuously weed, prune.
Yes.
So marriage is like that. Marriage is hard work. I don't think anybody could say, there's a formula that once you apply this formula to marriage, then you have the perfect marriage, and all you need to do is do A, B, and C, and then you get the perfect marriage. So it's about two people coming together, trying to understand each other, trying to flow with each other, trying to align with each other. And then also, the Bible talks about a threefold cord. Yeah, and also bringing God into that relationship such that even when you have issues, there's somewhere that you could always take that issue to. There's always a place, a safe space where you could take an issue to beyond your spouse and then seek for redress and see how, even the Holy Spirit, sometimes the Holy Spirit will say, you go and say sorry. Even in a problem where, you're not the one who feels...
No, be you cause him.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. So for me, it's been a journey of discovery. I mean, have we had challenges? Absolutely, yes. I mean, and I think the challenges in marriage come from many different things. There's so many pressures in marriage. But if you take even just basic perspective, you have to understand that you have two people coming together from a different background, different orientation, different mindset, different values. Although our common values are shared, but at the same time, based on your social exposure, your orientation, that would also condition you in a particular way. So let me just humor you a bit. I mean, just in terms of different perspectives. My wife is the kind of person who, as you see, she's very spontaneous. She's very colorful. I'm very simple, monotonous. I'm kind of like that. So I think the first time when we got married, and this is just to humor everyone here, she decided to do the washing. And, I had a laundry basket then, and, I put all my clothes, my dirty clothes in the laundry basket. And she was going to take all the clothes, put them in a basket, and put them in the washing machine. So she picked out a pair of trousers from my dirty laundry basket. It was black. It was size 34, 32, same make, a pair of Lee jeans. She picked out the second pair of trousers. It was black. It was size, same size, same color, same brand. She picked out the third item. It was the same pair of trousers, black. I think by the time she got to the seventh, she just freaked out that what's going on here? That how can you just be buying the same? And I said, it's just for me. It's just about it fits. I like it. It's comfortable. And every time it fades, I just go and buy the same one again. And it was like, everyone's going to think you only have one pair of trousers. I'm like, it's So I think, things like that, perspectives, people bring different perspectives to the table. And it's along the way, how do you deal with friction? How do you deal with, where you have, she's very strong-willed. She's a lawyer by background, so she's trained to see an argument and be very argumentative and, try and see a point of, a point of conclusion. So most of our issues will probably come from where there's a divergence in opinion or a divergence in perspective. And sometimes, how do we resolve those things? By communication. Sometimes you just have to just forbear and just allow the other person's point of view to hold sway. And I think that's it. Most of our issues have been around strong differences of opinion. But even if you have a strong difference of opinion, you have to sometimes agree to disagree and then still move on. So we reach a landing point whereby, we might still be disagreeing over it, but we're moving forward.
It's interesting. And
Yeah.
why I'm cutting in is because you are talking about strong differences of opinion and stuff like that. But you know that there's some schools of thought where her opinion shouldn't even matter because you're the man of the house and you're the head of the family and all of that. But it seems that in these 23 years, you have allowed her to have and express and her opinion. And in fact, you have considered her opinion and engaged to see is this a good Is this the better way to go, or can I glean from there and then we, find our way forward together, rather than I'm the boss, you do what I say, full stop, that's
Yeah.
it.
You know, there are some comments that we need to take.
Okay.
But they are telling me we need to go on a break.
Okay.
And then once we come back, we'll take the comments and
All
then
right.
we begin to tie this down.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Commercial break, please.
How are we doing for sound? Okay.
Dive into the world of limitless possibilities with Broken Walls Media, your one-stop destination for unparalleled media and broadcasting excellence. Immerse your audience in captivating live experiences that breaks down walls and forge unforgettable connections. Our seasoned team ensures every moment is a masterpiece, from concept to execution. Step into our state-of-the-art podcast studio, where innovation meets sound. Craft your narrative with top-notch equipment and acoustics, turning every word into a symphony of ideas. Your story amplified. And Bature Productions, with our cutting-edge equipment, from cameras to lighting, we provide the tools to turn your vision into a reality. Quality is our commitment. Success is our guarantee. Welcome to Broken Walls Media.
Okay.
Right. We're back.
We're back.
Yes, we're back.
So we have some comments that we're going to take, and then we begin to tie this down. Interestingly, when it's like they say, when you are at play, it's like
You've forgotten that 21 and counting is 1 hour 30 minutes.
it's okay.
But we still need to rush because
Well,
there's so
yes,
much to
because
talk
there's so
about.
much to talk about, and the time is just
Yes.
moving. All right. So some comments from, let me see. There's this one from All About Him. All About Him says, "You get God's best in anything when you let go and yield to His will." Though it's easier said than done.
Oh, the person added that.
He said it's easier said than done. It's easier said than done. So maybe part of what you will respond to is to tell us how you did it, even though it wasn't easy. Just something to he now said, there is no perfect marriage, even when it is God's perfect will. That one shock. That one choke.
Word.
That one choke.
Spot
That
on.
one choke. Fred says, I noticed she was certain and knew what she was looking for. I think the problem with us these days is a lot of people don't know what they are looking for. Do you agree with me, sir or ma? Sir and ma? Because some ladies just have a biological clock and some guys have a financial clock. So this is a solution where a lady feels, I am eligible to get married at a certain age, and when they reach that age, they just jump into it anyway. On the other hand, the guy just feels, now I
have
am
enough money.
financially capable, and then they jump into marriage.
Interesting.
How can you help us? Those are just very interesting thoughts. But I don't know how you want to. I don't know how you want to respond. How you want to respond to that? Oluremi Agbede just added this comment. He said, "Marriage continues to get better when the participants have learned to forgive themselves without reservations. When the
That's very
participants
true.
have learned to forgive themselves
That's very
without
true.
reservations." Ekaite Shub said, I'm watching from Canada and it's
Yay.
interesting conversation.
That's my
So,
sister.
I don't know how you can, but maybe you want to respond to it before we go. You want to respond to some of these comments, or what do you think?
I'll
Especially,
just,
especially the one that talks about the biological clock and the financial clock, because you were a bit under pressure at some point.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was under pressure, but I was determined that I was not going to get it wrong. And I was determined that I would only wait for God's best for me. Because I had that understanding that marriage is not just between two people, it's beyond two people. It's about God's agenda. It's about God's purpose that's been perpetuated, and that's why Abraham would say to his servant Eliezer, go look for a wife for my son somewhere, because it's not, there's a bigger picture. It's not just about two people, and that was why I could go through that period of waiting. And somebody said something about jumping into marriage. Marriage is not something to jump into at all, because if you get it wrong, you want to get out of it fast. Get out of it fast, yes. That's the truth, yes. Because somebody also said, even the will of God, you still have issues. I'm telling you the truth, it's not all hunky-dory. We have our moments, but thank God, whatever the moment, we know that this is God. We will still come back, because our commitment it's between me, you, and God. So whatever the issues, we have to resolve it, and we have to find ways to resolve it.
Interesting.
Yes, so that's how it's been for us.
You want to add something, PK?
Maybe I'll just take the point about, what are you looking for? What are you looking for? Because you said sometimes, I think there was a point made that, you don't know what you're looking for, and that sometimes can becloud the whole situation.
Yeah.
I think taking it from a man's point of view, I mean, if you ask an average man, like, okay, what kind of woman do you want to marry? I think when a man goes through that process of evaluation and comes up with a kind of a template to say, I want her to be this, I want her to be that, I want her to have this kind of, expectation. First of all, let that be driven by values as opposed to physical attributes. Because those physical attributes, over the course of time, will fade. A woman will have kids, her physiology will change, her body will change. So many things will change over a period of time. But character is consistent.
Yeah.
Values are consistent. So I would probably say, first of all, start with a value system that will work for you, that resonates with your own person. Now, when you've come up with that checklist, what I'll then say is now do an introspection to say that this model woman I painted, what kind of man is she looking for? And are you now measuring up to what that kind of woman will be looking for?
It's getting hot.
So
now.
there'll be gaps. So in the process
that's what I call
of
make it a fair deal in husband material.
so in the process of waiting, begin to fine-tune yourself. Look at those gaps and begin to see, right, if a woman, that kind of woman, wants somebody who's financially stable, then begin to work on how do I make myself financially stable enough to have a home that this kind of woman will be happy to dwell in. So
And you continue this polishing even after marriage?
It's a
after
continuous
getting
process
married.
as well, because I
Continuous.
don't think it ends with, you've met the person, because even meeting the person, it's two people coming together to become one flesh. So there's still the need to, and the Bible talks about iron sharpening iron. So that process is continuous.
Continuous.
You will continue. So as we've grown in the 21, 23 years of marriage, we've continued to sharpen each other. There are times when I'm a bit weak, she's strong, and her strength, comes to play in the mix. And then vice versa, it happens like that. So it's a continuous process. It's it's like continuous improvement. We talk about continuous improvement even in the workplace. A marriage is like that as well. So I would just maybe lay that as a foundation for those who are maybe looking and going through that process of what am I looking for and what should it look like? And like I said, just as a final point, as believers, we don't walk by sight. We walk by faith. And that faith are things that are tangible, because it's the substance in faith as well. So we have to look at those core values that, and beyond the here and now, look for somebody who in 20 years from now, your destinies are intertwined and you're both growing. So what does this one want to be? Where is she going? Can I be able to support that, complement that? And how will I add value to that? What value am I going to add to her journey in life to becoming the perfect person God has ordained her to be? And vice versa.
Fantastic.
So you're also looking at not just the here and now that, oh, we look like we're
Yes,
perfect match. Well, beyond that, what then, say 10, 15, 20 years down the line?
Wow. I like the focus on value rather than packaging, or rather than physical
Valuables.
traits, right? And then, of course, looking to the future. How many years down, 10 years, 20 years down, do you still see us adding value to each other, our destinies being intertwined in that way? So, I hope you took note of that, because it's not like he said, it's not just about today, it's not just about how you look, how I look. What about the future? What about when the children come in? You know, sometimes I let me just drop this. You know how some people say, I know how to handle his anger. I know how to behave so that I don't, in quotes, trigger him. Do you understand? But when the children come, will they know? Will you now have somebody in the name of discipline doing physical abuse right in front of you, and you're now torn between, do I challenge my husband or do I protect the child, and stuff like that, you know? So think about it. It's not just for now, it's also for the future. What do you want to achieve? What kind of life do you want to have? And put that into consideration when you're deciding. Okay, so I'll go to the next question I have here, which is, how has getting older affected your relationship? Does love get better or stronger with age? You know, because you see some of this funny stuff on social media where they'll say, oh, this is what a real marriage looks like, and then they'll show how the man comes into the house, goes and does his thing. The woman comes into the house, goes and does her thing. They are more like flatmates rather than a happily married couple. And they try to say this is the real one, not what you see in quote on social media and stuff like that. So really, 23 years and counting, is there still the love, the excitement, the romance? Has it gotten better with age, or does love wane with age?
Well, that's something that you have to be very intentional about, fanning the flame of love. You know, for us, I think it's like old wine, becoming finer. Yes, becoming finer. Because right now, it's an empty nest. So, and you know, when the children are gone like that, you know that all the things that used to occupy your time, but particularly me, you know. So we're very, very intentional about doing things that would cause us to fan the flame, exciting things. So like going for dinner, discovering new places, playing our game, Scrabble.
Really?
Yes. So right now I'm still talking to him, trying to get him away from work to have like bi-monthly or every 2 months, going away for a weekend. So all these things are, you know, very important, especially as you get older. And that has, to a large extent, been helping us. You know,
Intentionality.
Yeah.
So I would it's like, you know, this today's show, I'm on the sideline doing referee and conductor. So my own is just to be carrying the things that people are saying there, and I'm chucking it inside the things that people are saying here. Somebody said this program is always a delight for me. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We recognize you. Queen Debbie said, what I learned from this conversation is take your time and wait. Take your time and wait. Wait on God's green light to marry the person he ordained for me. Right? God's green light. Debbie, how will you know when the light is shining?
Great question back to Debbie.
I'm training it to Debbie, but I know they can hear me, so maybe they will tell her, you know, they will help her, because yes, how will you know when the light?
for
shining.
she has mentioned
yeah.
peace twice.
No, yeah, she has mentioned peace. Yeah. So
And the glove.
but you see,
When-
but you see,
I can't forget the
but-
analogy. You're wearing the glove. It looks like, okay, it seems like it's right. It's getting there, it's getting there. And then finally you finish wearing it. It's like, yeah, this fits.
But you know the truth is that there's a way in this generation when you have a lot of money, peace is suddenly there. You know, some ladies by the time they see the guy, by the time they see the guy's car, there's a peace that naturally just comes on
But
you.
the three
and,
guys were okay. They were doing very well. The three of them were doing very well. Do you understand? And it's not just waiting. It's waiting and serving God.
You see,
Yes.
this is another variable
Oh, yes.
that needs to enter
Yes,
there.
it's not just waiting.
Waiting, doing what?
Doing God's work. Be focused on serving God. Very, very important. Because the Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom and every other thing.
Will be
So as
added.
you are doing that and you are focused on serving God, God will sort you out. It's not even about the method. Leave that in God's hands. Whether it's by on social media
Or by wedding, or by connection.
whatever the way, God will bring the person at the right time. And in a way, the way he brought Kayode was the way that God knew that I would be able to flow with him.
Thank you. The
Yes.
way that he knew you will be able to.
Yes, that's what God did.
You see, there's this thing that we talk about when people talk about they are hearing from God. Maybe normally the way you hear from God is that you just dream. No, you just dream and see something, and it's your way of hearing from God. I'm giving an example. But when it comes to marriage, the person wants to hear my son, that girl passing wearing
Red skirt.
wearing red skirt is the one. But that's not the way he usually talks to you, right? But you are expecting that that's the way I should hear this one to know that she's the one. But I like the fact that you say the way that he knew you will understand, because
Yes.
God is not
Yeah.
the author of confusion.
Confusion, exactly.
He's not the author of confusion.
Exactly.
So he will not take you to battle with untested weapons. He will take
Yeah.
you to war with the weapons you have tested and are comfortable
Correct.
with.
Yes.
So
Correct.
and this is for those that you know that believe in God, you know, that are trusting God and
Yeah.
are waiting for the green light. So that makes sense
Yeah.
right there. There's another question from it's like Fred is on a road this night. To Fred, I'm looking at your destiny. It's like there's a marriage coming very soon. Fred, should I prophesy? okay, but no, you know this thing. Fred may be asking for a friend.
For a friend, yes.
But the important thing is that whoever is asking the question will get an answer. He said, please, my last question. I've noticed a situation where some parents rush their children to get married for some reason or the other. Please, how can we help in situations like this, sir? Reasons like you are the first son and you need to.
That's an example for the younger ones.
Is there any, he's the first
And
son.
the first son.
Yeah, so that means you understand the pressure. So how can you help a first son that is not ready to, but there's pressure to enter there? Yeah.
I guess just speaking to that, I think there are lots of things that come into play. First of all, when you get that kind of pressure, people will treat you the way they see you. And if I bring that into a practical sense, it's just like your parents, right? Your parents will continue to smother you, to parent you, until you demonstrate or give them a reason to believe that you can do something on your own.
Yes.
Right.
Unless you prove that, they will continue to feel you can't do something.
Okay.
And they will continue to take action on your behalf. That maybe, dress you up and all that. But the minute you can demonstrate that you can do it, then
Start
they
to
back
step
away
up.
a little. I think for those people in that kind of situation, once they understand your position and you're very clear about it, and you don't look confused about it, I know what I'm doing. There's a way you can manage people's expectations. If your parents are unsure about you and they're not sure about you, how your whole stance, then they will try to put pressure on you. But if you make them understand that I have a plan, I have this carefully sorted out. I'm not in a hurry. I'm buying my time to get the right person. I guess a confidence will come from that when they see that, you're following through on your own plan. But if you're here today, you look confused tomorrow. That's when they will start to now
exactly.
think, okay,
we
maybe
need
they
to
will
tell
try to
him what to do.
give you a
Yes.
helping hand.
Yes.
Give you a helping hand along the way. So I think
Yeah.
once people can see what you're doing, like the example she gave, she wasn't just waiting passively. She was waiting but intentionally doing things. So her mind wasn't distracted. She was focused. And for me as a firstborn, I don't think my parents came at me like that, like, oh, counting the clock, we want our grandchildren. No, because I was doing things at every point in time that were what I was focused on or wanting to do at that point in time. So either I just started a job, I was, putting a flat together. So I was intentional about everything I was doing. And I knew that when the time for a wife was set, once again, and because I had a track record, that my parents could also see that, okay, he knows what he's doing. He's been on his own by his own. He's been doing life by himself, and I think that gave them a measure of comfort that when he's ready, he will let us know. So I think also it's down to how you present yourself, how you manage those expectations as well.
Yes.
As a man, you have to sometimes be a bit firm and be strong. And then once people can see that, okay, he knows what he's doing, they would sometimes give you a bit more space to come up with it.
I like the track record part because sometimes people, it's easy to think that, hey, it's when it comes to this marriage decision, I will do what I need to do. But if you have been uncertain about a number of other things in the past, the people who came through for you in those past occasions may probably feel they have a duty to help you with this current decision.
Correct.
So for the sake of your future, you need to actually start creating that track record, being intentional, being decisive, being able to communicate that this is what I'm going to do and this is how I'm going to do it, and then you do it.
Correct.
And then everybody turns around. He actually did it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's on the record. And then the next, and then the next. So by the time marriage comes around and they say, this is the person you want to marry, you can say, Papa or Mama, say this, that, and that on this matter as well. Then they'll think about it. Okay. Do you understand? Because you have communicated in the past and you have demonstrated.
And just to add to that, by the time I did decide to get married, it was the first person I brought to my parents that I married. So it wasn't even like, he had brought somebody along and that didn't work out. And we seen him today with this person and they're wondering and they're trying to wake up their mind that, is he serious? There was none of that. So when the time for marriage was right, I started, consciously, actively, and then along the line, I aligned with God, and then once again, she's the first person I took home to my parents. And
interesting.
Here we are.
Wow.
As they say, the rest is.
The rest is history. Do you have any fresh question
okay.
you want to ask?
Guys, someone mentioned that the output is low. Please, can you confirm? They mentioned that the volume went low. Please, can you confirm?
Okay.
Fred says, thank you, sir. I get it. Self-confidence and a sense of maturity, bravery, and responsibility.
Nicely captured.
Thank you. Oluremi again says, minus the impact of technology. After 5 years in the marriage, everything is a reoccurrence or a variance. Okay, everything is a reoccurrence or a variant of reoccurrence. It's fundamentally the same or a shade of what has happened before. So marriage improves by the day. He said Cece Winans just celebrated 40 years of blissful wedlock in a community where marriage is so easily ruptured. We need to take a close look at their lives. And these are some of the things. These are some of the things that we are trying to highlight with 21 and counting. To tell people that, yes, out there on social media, you see a lot of stuff that tells you, oh, marriages are not working, marriages are struggling. 2 years, it doesn't last more than that. 5 years, 5 years is lifespan. Jumping when you get in, if it's not working, get out. And a lot of issues are being introduced: feminism, equality and equity, and all of those terms and all of those semantics and syntax that they throw about that make it seem like, oh, marriage is just a hassle that is not worth the effort. But what we're trying to do here is to show people that marriage works when you walk it. So she spoke earlier about intentionality. It means that you have to say, we're in this for the long run. Both parties have to decide to make it work. And
you have to, for instance, you can decide, my marriage is not going to be boring. I'm going to make it interesting, just like she said.
Yeah.
And you plan getaways, you put in the games, you do the fun stuff. What's interesting to you and for me, and then we do that. So,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
so that way it's
Yeah.
because from what I'm hearing, you're
Yeah.
building in the excitement.
Can I just add something?
Yes, please.
Just to touch on this very slightly. In the time that we were conversing at the very beginning, we became very good friends. And in marriage, it's another pillar,
Friendship.
friendship.
Wow.
Because, like you said, longevity also is a function of, because love ebbs and flows. But when you have a friend that is constant, that friendship stays on the same frequency. That stays very stable over time. So because we were very good, close friends at the very beginning, we've always been able to fall back on that when we come to do things that we like, or we're trying to find things that we have fun together doing. So as friends, it's easy. So that's like we play Scrabble, like she said, you know, and if we do go out, you know, we just find things that interest us both. And it's very easy. But she said something that I just want to touch as well, that you have to be intentional about these things. It's also taking time out, being conscious. Or something you mentioned very early in the conversation about, you know, is the love getting sweeter? And I just want to also just touch a little bit on that as well, because, you know, as you grow in marriage, you begin to reevaluate priorities, and you begin to distill down priorities down to what really is important. You start the marriage with lots of things. You got kids, you got trying to build a house, buy a car, house, job, career. It's all very convoluted. But as you grow older in marriage, you now start to distill down what is really essential. And those essentials are not many. You know, her happiness, if she's comfortable, she's stable, she's focused, it will translate to your life. It will spill over into your space as well. So the more you're focusing about the other person, less about yourself, it circles back onto you as well, giving you more time to become all the things you want to become as well. So there's an investment in each other that you're constantly investing. So for instance, now I hardly buy my own clothes. She buys them all the time.
Interesting.
I hardly, you know, so it's about.
So that you won't go and buy the five black shirts at the same time.
But that's what makes it more. I mean, over time, that's what makes it. That's what solidifies it. Maybe that's where I'm going with it.
Wow.
I want to speak to that comment about, you know, marriage is not working, so we just jettison, we get out of it. It's important to establish the standards that are governing your union.
thank you.
Highly important.
Please
The
move closer to the
one
mic.
who
Let them,
It's
in the-
important to
yes.
establish
Let
the
them hear.
standards governing your union. The God who instituted marriage is the God to fall back on the template to use in making marriage work. That is so essential. So we're sitting here today, and you might just say, "Oh, they've got it all together." Even when we have issues, we go back to that God's template. Yeah, one of my guiding principles is found in Proverbs 31:12. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life.
Wow.
That is from God.
Does him good.
Yes.
And not
She does.
harm.
Every time we get into it, I just remember that she does him good. Even if she does him good, you know. So let's go back to the one who instituted marriage and get his own instruction, and that way we'll get it right.
Try.
Wow.
She does him good. I think that's for somebody right there. If you remember the guiding principles, that every time I talk about marriage, there's a friend of mine, Dr. Laiwola. I always have to quote something he said, and ever since he said that, it has never left my spirit. He said, "There's marriage as instituted by God, and there's marriage as practiced by men." You have to
right.
decide which one is your own.
That's right.
If you are going
Those
to do it
principles,
God's
yeah.
way, follow God's principle, then
Principles,
you
yeah.
should expect God's results.
Outcomes, yeah.
But if you're going to do it man's way, you can do it man's way, but don't now come and be expecting God's results.
Yeah.
So you have to be
Very true.
aware of the guiding
That's right.
principles that your
Right.
marriage is built
Yes.
on. You know,
right.
that's
Yeah.
really great. Should I take some comments, or you
Yes,
have something
some
to add
comments.
before? it says, good. It's good you mentioned feminism, Kingsley. Feminist activism in marriage is contrary to scriptures and a violation of the original template of marriage. What do you have to say about this, sir? Miracle says, this is a great show today. Thank you.
Thank you, Miracle.
Thank you. Yes, yeah. I think we can take that. So what
Okay.
what do you think about that statement? It feels like feminism activism is against the template of marriage. If I were to touch on it a bit, right? I would take it from the angle where the whole idea of feminism has been pushed. Let me use it this way: has been infiltrated by a backdoor agenda, right? Because the concept of feminism in itself actually originated from the church. If you study it, because I did a study on it, it actually originated from the church. But right now there's a backdoor agenda throwing around different semantics, different words, equality, equity, and all those gender phrases. There are a lot of them, but for me, what is important in marriage is, what are you guys trying to do? Are you trying to work it based on how God wants it to be?
Yeah.
If it's based on how God wants it to be, what are the principles guiding you? I was counseling a couple who were my clients early this week, and I said, let's not forget the same place that said, let the wives be subject to their own husbands. That place also said, 21, Ephesians 5, right? It says, submitting yourselves one to another. So there was a place where we submitted ourselves to each other. Then there's a place where we says, okay, for the purpose of functionality, and of order. Okay, wives, do this. But that does not, because there was something she said. She said she's always thinking, do him no harm. If she's thinking that, and he's always thinking in her best interest,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, even when we disagree, we will come back to a point where we are saying,
Where everybody's okay.
everybody is last.
Yeah.
Everybody is
Yeah.
okay. Because just the same way the Proverbs 31 woman says, do him no harm. Genesis 1, which was the first duty of a man, he spoke about love like a garden. The first duty of a man, God there, what did he say to man? He said to man that he put man in the center of a garden to tend it and to keep it. The center of the garden was not locational, it was positional. It wasn't just a location in the center. No, it was in the point of the garden where you can see 360. So the job of the man is to be able to see 360 on behalf of everybody and make sure everybody is okay. He needs to tend the garden and to keep it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So lovely, so beautiful. So I will ask this one just I don't want to assume that what I'm thinking is going to be the answer, so I'll ask it. So now, having been here for 23 years plus, if you could turn back the hands of time, would you still sign up to be married? Or would you say, you know what?
I'm not doing this thing.
Yes. I'll just be single for the rest of my life.
Marriage is beautiful when you follow God's guidance and help. I have a wonderful husband. That's the truth, and I could start saying a lot of things about him, but yes, responsible, dutiful, hardworking, loving, caring. The children love him to bits.
Okay,
Role
only you.
model.
Ha.
Yes, and I thank God I made that decision, to go for him. Yes.
After 23
And I
years
know
old,
that
can you
even after,
imagine?
yes, and I know more is to come because God's purpose will continue to unravel itself in our lives and unfold in the mighty name of Jesus. Yes.
Amen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess my response to that would be, if I could go back in time, I think if you look at what when God put two people together, God isn't just thinking about you, he's thinking about generations.
Yes.
Abraham was one man, Sarah was one woman, but from those two, God was thinking of a nation. God was thinking of how he would impact the earth through, one man became a nation.
Yeah.
And I think even just, she talked about our kids, even just the kids we've had from this union, the products of this union have been, I couldn't have wished for any better kids. I mean, for me, that is just the icing on the cake. That is the blessing, the fruit of this union. God has proved himself. So, would I change anything? Absolutely not. I'll probably, if I wanted to go back in time, it would probably be so that I have more time to even...
Absolutely not. He won't change anything, meaning yes, marriage all the way.
To go back in time would be that we'll have more time. So if I go back in time,
We just go back and have more time. Yeah.
Interesting. How beautiful. Wow. This is, we're beginning to wrap this up now. We have 5 minutes left. This has been really amazing. And the part that is really exciting me right now is how she was just dropping the attributes, just like that, free flow. It wasn't like, he's kind, let me see, he's considerate. It was just like, whoa. It's just so beautiful. And for that to happen, it's flowing from somewhere. So it's not something you have to walk up. It's just a natural flow. And it's just beautiful to see. Thank you so much for modeling marriage. What a good marriage looks like to the rest of us.
So if I'm going to ask one, this one I will ask it for is a very selfish.
Selfish.
It's a very selfish question. It's a very selfish question. I'm asking on the behalf of those people
that don't want to. Oh, go ahead.
I'm asking on the behalf of those people that are currently empty nesters or entering the empty nest. I say it's a very selfish question because we will soon reach that domot. We will soon reach that domot. The empty nest phase. What do you guys do with your day? So I can guess the part where you go to work in the morning and come back in the evening. What next?
What next? I think I mentioned a few.
Scrabble.
Read.
Just to jump in here. I mean, she's quite busy. She runs a store. She's a florist. She has many interests, many passions. So she's always got her finger in something. In the course of the day. I tend to work. I'm very, kind of long hours, as she already said. Very. So what we do is that, like our weekends, we always spend time. What are we doing with ourselves? Particularly Sundays. Our Sundays, we have church in the morning. After that, we just go fine dining. So we sit down. We don't rush the food. We go to where we will be able to sit for the entire day. We enjoy the ambience of the evening.
Are you taking notes?
So I know that it's a relief for her not to go home to have to cook and have to. So we just go home and then we sleep after that. So I just, so it's the small things. It's the small things. Every now and then we have a function or two that we're going to. So we're always going out as a. I'm trying to sell my 7-seater now and downsize it to a 2-seater. We're always out.
But there's nobody in the back seat anymore.
No. So we're always going out together. There's very hardly a function we go to on our own. We tend to do things. We're doing life together, and that's what it's really all about. So
making even more memories.
And just being very intentional about even the little time we have. When we do have pockets of togetherness. Okay, what are we doing? Even if we're at home together, we might just say, let's just watch a movie. Let's get on Netflix and put the laptop on the bed in the middle of us and watch that.
Sometimes have our children watch with us from abroad. And we laugh and giggle.
Are you kidding?
Yes. I think we've done that once or twice.
So we just make it as fun as we can. And because we're friends, like I said, it's very easy to find commonality and common ground in areas of interest. Lately we've been talking about going to the theater. That's something I've always wanted to do, and I'm dragging her to now say, let's go going to theater now to see plays and things like that. So
interesting. Nice. Okay, so I know I said it was my last one, but I said let me ask one last one. As in 23, I have to learn something. So when it comes to children, do you have any um any pearls of wisdom that you can share with us and our viewers out there when it comes to raising children? And I'm asking this, conscious of the fact that we have three, and three of them are distinct, as like very different. So you can't say you use the same shoe and all of them will wear it because the first one wore it, and all of them will wear it and it will fit.
Yeah.
How, what advice in that sense can you guys give in terms of raising them and the things that were difficult or challenging for you in that regard? 2 minutes, and we can close
I'll
there.
quickly say, template again, the word of God. Train up a child in the way he should go. That's the broad guidance for us, yeah. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I was just sharing with somebody about my last child, the last born. You know, two different personalities, the older boy and the last one. So there was a day we were just walking down somewhere in the school, and somebody was, coming in my direction and said, "No, you can't be brothers." And I was with them. The two of you cannot be brothers. It's just not possible. But with the last born, it was a great challenge to us, big time challenge. When you talk about, I don't even want to, because this is going to be recorded. But honestly, I shared with somebody recently, this is a boy that I took to class, and I told him to prostrate to the teacher in front of all the other students. He was crying. This is the same boy that I told that you are not going to go out on your holiday, not one day. And I stuck to it. Even the father was begging. I stuck to it. That was discipline. That boy, by the grace of God, everything is by the grace of God, is the sweetest boy ever now.
Wow.
So the template of God, the word of God as regards bringing up children is essential. Ife was amazing child.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So train up a child so that
Yes.
there's the participation
Oh, yes.
from the part of the parents. So
Yes.
don't so do your work.
Yeah.
If you have brought children into the world,
Yeah.
then contribute your part
Yeah.
to making sure they become
Yeah.
If I may
Love
add-
and discipline.
Yes,
Right
love and
balance.
discipline.
Right.
Love and discipline.
If I may also
Yes.
add a couple of things as well. I think one thing that we discovered very early is, and we were quite intentional about, was the individuality of our children.
Yeah.
So we realized, they're although they're all the same from the same parents, but they're individual, and we've learned to see their individuality and nurture them along that pathway. So they all have different things they're doing, but there's a common strand, like a DNA, that runs through the entire family. So those values they're strong on those values.
Yeah.
So beyond the values, they can have their own individuality and manifest that in different ways, which is fine. And then we're also very intentional about, because another thing with children is they're more, it's what they see you say as opposed to what they hear you say that shapes
Please
them.
explain that.
What they
See you say.
It's what they see you do and say. That has a more stronger influence over them than what you're telling them to do. So they read you like a book. And children are very quick to spot hypocrisy and where there's a divergence in what you're saying
From
and what they
you're
can
doing.
see. So we've been very open and true to them.
Yeah.
When we're struggling as a family, we struggle. We make them know that this is the period we're going through. Things are a bit tight. We need to tighten our belt. So we're very open and transparent with them. Even sometimes when we have arguments, they see us, and they also see us make up.
Yeah.
So, and they see that no argument ends in like, dad's walked out, mom's walked out. No, they know that, look, even sometimes when we're arguing, they just say, leave daddy and mommy that.
Yeah.
They know that, look,
They
this
are
was
going to settle this.
one way or
No
the
need
other.
to be anxious.
Yes, exactly. And they're never anxious when they see those kind of moments. So it's also helping them also see that, look, you got to be real. You have to be able to handle situations like this. So we've modeled life, and like you said, it's about also instilling that DNA in them, that the core foundational principles and values that we hold dear are present in all of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're responsible, all the things that we hold dear. And now we've now taken a step back to allow them to be and flourish and blossom in whatever way they choose to. And, the confidence is that because, like she said, we put them on a particular pathway, we are just confident now that God will take over the rest of it now that we've done the foundational work. The rest is in his hands. So we don't have much anxiety or, issues around them. We let them be, and thank God, by His grace, they've turned out, to be kids that give us peace. And,
Yes.
Wow.
Peace.
Let me rest my case here because
Peace and peace.
they've been singing it in my ear. I can hear you guys. Time is up. Time is up. Yeah.
How the time
Time
has
is
flown
up.
by.
Time is up. Tom is online. She said, whoop, whoop. She said, that is so true. What they see you say. Time is up.
Yeah,
Babe,
thank you so much, Tom, for
Babi,
joining.
take
And
the
for
show
every
away.
other
Let me-
person who came on the show. It's been a lot of conversation happening, even in the chats.
Yeah.
Really beautiful to see. Thank you for contributing. And thank you so much to the Akinpelus.
Thank you.
For
Thank you
share.
for
I
having
told
us.
you
It's a
that
pleasure
they have
being
plenty
here.
wisdom.
It's been a pleasure.
You see, Ba?
And you see the fun part is
What?
the way they are just dropping it. Just dropping it coolly, calm.
They're dropping it tushly.
Tushly, they coolly calm. Usually, do you notice? Usually, most people say a calm person cannot marry calm person. So inside both of you, who is the
Who's the karma?
who is the calmer of the both? Because both of you were just dropping it, calm, collected.
The jury is still out on that one.
The jury is still out.
Okay. So thank you very much for
Thank you
being
for
our
having
guest on
us.
the show and for
Real
sharing
pleasure to
so,
be here. Thank
so
you.
richly and so freely.
Yeah.
And thank you to my darling husband for all the coordination and every other thing that we are doing that some other people did not see.
No, they can't see.
Yes, and thanks to our team who
Yeah.
have worked to
Production
just
crew.
make sure this
Thank you.
show ran well to the end, and everybody who is supporting remotely. Please, like we always say, like, if you got value, share, and then if you want to make sure you don't miss any posts from us, subscribe so you get notified whenever we're coming live. Thank you and have a wonderful time. And like we always say, remember, common sense is
It's
not,
not
so
so
common.
common.
Good night.
Good night.
Ooh.
Thank you once again for joining us. We hope you got great value today. Our goal is to bring you valuable information to help you make better decisions in your life